morning, class. I'm Mr. Morelli. As Ellie did my job for me, I was going to do a little advertisement for my book, but thank you for doing that. I've been using these events to perform pieces of the whole thing, because it's a long poem, and I started in November with part 1, and then in March I did part 2, and today I'm doing part 3, except it's not really organized that way, but basically. So this is a prelude, and then I'm going to get into the real thing, and I'm going to do a little experiment too. So, yeah, here we are. School days. School days. In school, we learned that our dreams were just a simulation running through our brains. We got computers to play finite games, pretend to be somebody, or otherwise pass the boring eons of the class with our faces smashed up against the looking glass. Who got good grades for brown-nosing and kissing ass, with an eye upon the creeping of the minute hand, and rosy countenances, ever watchful, conscientious, as blank slates and pure potentials, diligently applying ourselves to the impersonal good, displaying patterns of performance which could be tested, assessed, and observed for signs of deviance from the mean, or symptoms of divine inspiration. Well-mannered children of the monoculture, somebody tell me, it's not in that. It's not in those. It's not in your booklet. This poem is not there. Well-mannered children of the monoculture. Oh, man. See, this is what happens when I'm on. Oh, I have the book. I got it anyway. Okay. Well-mannered children of the monoculture, neatly divided into zeros and ones, gazing on bright futures by the grace of our electric Yahweh, who still would have to get their homework done so they could seriously play, donning Halloween disguises among tall stalks of corn, as wizards and witches, vampires and fairies, with a great pumpkin in the sky watching over us. Still early in the a.m., and already pining for recess from the recesses of our dim dungeon, emblazoned on our foreheads the mandate to become all that we could never be, and make everything one. I'm not checking my messages. This is AP News. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. You don't really have to get up. We pledged allegiance to the falsified flag of these divided states in disarray, founded on the principles of individual freedom and equality for all by any means necessary. Who came and saw and conjugated the verbiage of our masters, cheering massacres redacted on desecrated plains, so we could raise our fisted hands and use our gifted voices to mobilize these masses and manifest our destinies. The pomp and peril of our pupillage, sponsored and made possible by distant wars and covert operations. We rose together as one nation, invisibly fired up under the gun, once mighty and proud, now bound and gagged and bound for oblivion, turned on and tuned in as one audience, indefinitely detained, dazed and distracted, virtually drowned, choking on a cancerous haze of the daily outrage, become barbarous, beholding empty screens, running reruns upon reruns upon reruns of our favorite programming, projecting antiquated holographic archetypes through mesmerizing animated simulacra with candy coatings in carious hues, mentally colonized and instinctually normalized, brutalized beyond repair, binging on the prescient and irreplaceable cargo of spaceship Earth, yet fulfilling an essential role in the gargantuan machine. Rats reared for racing through redacted grammatical infrastructures with invasive systemic supremacy, who were enrolled in programs for the talented and genetically elected, preambled to the pursuit of power, pre-screened to live the dream, belong to the team, lead the goons and run with the rulers, and whose enrichment thereby assumed a secret meaning. Hail to the portal planets coursing in the farthest orbits from our dread sovereign center of moral gravity. Who remembers Saturday mornings with superheroes in our PJs, eating cornflakes with a glass of OJ on a Dukes of Hazzard snack tray, zoning out in front of the commercial boob, playing hide and seek and tag and wiffle ball and kill the Buddha and Red Rover on bright green lawns, and shredding our BMX bikes on the rapist streets, and hanging out in parking lots getting wasted. And those sagging emo power lines and wireless OG satellites overhead, and all the varicolored vegetables we avoided, and crunchy, gooey, salty, oversweetened snacks lifted from supermarket shelves. All the while, unbeknownst, ingesting pesticides, weed killers, heavy metals, neurotoxins, psychophthalates, particulates in parts per billion detectable in the aura, residual nanoplastics swirling in the blood, hormone disruptors in our creamy white milk, with the missing boy on the red carton, who in practice and theory fed on only the purest processed, unadulterated, ultra-pasteurized, prepackaged, pediatrician recommended, who approved, CDC decontaminated, self-medicating, premeditated, pre-masticated foods, who noticed strange mutations in our moods, instructed in the arts of conjuring a world in our own mold. We grew attracted to the prospect of reordering the cosmos by remote control, bred to believe we might call forth and achieve any object sufficiently desired, groomed to consume and vote with our wallets. Yet, cultural creators by virtue of our appetites. And when the oceans parted, and when our hard drives failed, oh, the silence of these infinite spaces and hollowed out relations swells a sublime with the surplus of our ill industry, who were fortunately informed that actually, for all our promise, we would still need to hone a human job. Invent careers if we had to. Make ourselves useful to the tribe. Bleed here now. Purge the putrid past. Foment fantastical futures. Sacrifice our babies to a greater God. Spin up spared somersaults within our delimited time on our own dime. That we were loved just the way we were. Who honestly did the very best they could. And with a little vitamin TLC fortified with some good old-fashioned INTEGRITY, could have done better. Whose moody missives, a shot into obscurity, were perfectly aimed to miss the mark. Who honored the spirit of the letter and basked in the beatitudes of the banter. And some of us lived to tell it like it is, and some part of us died in the recounting. Who sold out to Mammon to make living arrangements while their newborn souls were dying. Gangrene governments and a transcendental thought police squadron riding on our asses, who would capitalize on a penchant for rhythm and rhyming, build their chops and let the chips fall where they worm their ways for blunt eternities through their friends' receptive chakras. Shout out to the little ones who came up on the flip sides of these tracks, under the golden shadow of our burgeoning prowess. Bang, bang. Surprise, surprise. Look into our bloodshot, strung-out eyes to be seduced and hypnotized by... Class? What's the next word? Oh, I know it. Electrons! Pole dancing on stage. Bosom bosons. Boinging quarks queered. Forlorn fake-looking photons fornicating. Remember the church lady? Fornicating with best friends, glum gluons, in the glossy centerfolds of our depraved and deprived, privatized dreams. Filmed realms foreclosed since underwater universes bailed. Docked for cultured shock value points on the social scoreboard of enterprising crowd control algorithms. Just when it appeared we were locked in for the win, game over, and insert quarter to begin again. Weeping, 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 pointy, pixelated tears of calamitous neglect, licking a neon blue, artificially flavored, poisoned swamp water, popsicle. Eyeballs agape, lolling tongues drawl, minds mangled, delivered on a stellar platter to our corporate caretakers. We, the product of our ancestors, hardy climbs and superior reasoning, drugged up, numbed out, and dumbed down for the procurement of a season's wage. Who got our kicks in early, while the weather was dandy and we still could, and turned intoxicating rituals and musical deep dumpster dives into habitual, invincible, irretrievable escapades. Who got the best grades nonetheless, and worked the hardest and hurt the most, and could care less. For even deeper facts of life were unriddled when the cow ran away with the spoon, and we stuck a fork in the dark side of the moon. Who were told to act our age, and so acted, and reacted with, and enacted, and reenacted our age. Who came of age in the age of one apocalypse or another, one after another, ducked and covered with the best of them, stayed up late watching the phenomena, glued to the static doom, waiting for our fathers and mothers to come home from their killings made. Who looked out for our little sisters and brothers from other wombs, conspired with cryptic cousins who had consciousness expanding connections, and with verdant voodoo kept our enemies at bay or in our pockets. Who always had sugary treats or trending trinkets to share. And though we were more scared than we could say, with lossy lessons still to be absorbed, who would we be to complain? Who would still be listening? And who are we no longer becoming, now that monarchs flutter and the buffalo roam in pixel-perfect prehistoric pastures? Oh, my cosmic compeers, citizens of Rome in Rome, denizens of unknown spheres, beyond all fucks and cares, who proved through the night that our rockets would fall on deaf ears, and who, despite these protestations, probably, economically speaking, had nothing of real value to add to the conversation, and yet said their piece and sang their refrain and blew their brains out, singing and shouting it to the loftiest rafters of our tectonic dome, postponing the poetry we needed, and who so fell into a chronically creeping, casually caustic, ecstatic pedagogy, suckling posthumous critical theories with obscene postulates, through bleary, dreary, weary climbs, down gassy lines, into the viscous, boiling pit of a personal volcano. Sickly stewing in black bile, steeping a dark brew, churning crude void into pale fuel for the utilitarian inferno. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Swallowing sulfurous vapors belched up from the furnace of our blame, spewing the perpetual shame of our lavishly privileged impoverishment. Oh, the prodigies we once were, who went down swinging, freedom bells ringing, defending the territory from the map, our elemental entropy entrapped. Home him on a range, disfigured and deranged, deconstructing all the rage, decoupled from our majesty, languishing in redacted cages.